But it's time to get ready for Jaguars football. Joining us on the Garber Auto Mall phone line is my buddy Bucky Brooks, who checks in to talk a little Jags. Bucky, how are you, man?
Man, I'm good, Frank. What's going on?
Man, I'm ready. I'm ready for this team. I'm ready for the. I think they have a positive trajectory. Have you started? By the way, you started fall practice yet for your high schoolers? That didn't happen yet, does it?
No, not yet, dog. We'll start on Monday, July 29th. So it's all eyes on Jaguars, at least.
Okay, good. We'll worry about high schools later coming up. Hey, big picture here. We'll get to the specifics in a minute. But I feel like, and I mean this, I think the trajectory is about as good as it's been around here in a long time. Trevor's extended. Josh Hines-Allen is extended. They've approved a stadium. And Bucky, I think they've got a good team. I know they messed it up at the end last year, but they do have back-to-back winning seasons. I think the roster's better. Big picture, am I too optimistic here? I like what they've got here.
No, like Frank, I'm with you on that. And I think what may be something that was heartbreaking last year could lead to a lot of success this year. The way the team finished made the team do a deep dive in who they are and what they're about. And I think going into training camp, Doug Peterson has a clear sense of what he wants to get accomplished with the team to put this team on a trajectory to compete for a Super Bowl title this season. I think he wants to reestablish the brand, wants a smart, fast, physical team. I think he wants to make sure that all the puzzle pieces are in place to be successful, meaning you've evaluated everybody over the spring. Now let's put them in a situation where they're in the best role so they can execute and the team can operate at a high level. And then let's get through training camp healthy and ready to go for the first week. And I think all of the failures from last year has galvanized the team and has made it very, very clear the type of guys that he wants on the team and the style of play that he wants to see from the team. So I'm really excited to see what takes place in training camp.
Yeah, I think the type of players is a key comment there. You and I have had this talk offline a bunch. I think he has the right type of players. I'll tell you this, too. What they have not had, gosh, maybe since Jimmy Smith, Bucky, is a take the top off the defense guy. Calvin Ridley was supposed to be that, and there were some moments. But I do think Gabe Davis and the rookie Brian Thomas are touchdown makers. They both average 17 yards a catch, so thereabouts. I think that's what this team hasn't had, and I get the sense they have that now. Now, look, I don't want to get ahead of myself. One guy's a rookie. One guy just got here. But don't you get the sense that's different? Because I think if you can throw the ball deep, doesn't that change? It changes your running game. It changes the crossing patterns and how successful they can be. Isn't that a big part of all this?
I think so. So, like, the way that I look at it is we talk about the puzzle pieces and putting the people in the right role for them to succeed. I think the three best offensive players are Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, and Travis Etienne in no particular order.
Right.
I think the complementary players around those guys, their job is to make life easy for the big three to be able to get loose. And so with Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis, their ability to stretch the field will make life easier for Ingram, Kirk, and Etienne. For Etienne, it clears the box. So now, because both of those guys are big playmakers, and you pointed out the average, 17 yards a pop makes a defensive coordinator take notice because you have to get big plays to average that. So that makes everyone back up. That gives more space to Etienne on the ground game. But then when it comes to Ingram and Kirk, the crossing routes and the things that they do over the middle of the field, well, when you get one of those safeties out of the middle, because they have someone that they got to cover on the clearing route, now there's more room for Kirk and Ingram to run the horizontal plays that were really good for the Jaguars in 2022. Yes, the personnel I'm excited about are those outside receivers because they bring the big play element, but more importantly, they take the top off the defense so the other guys can have a lot of success doing what they do very well.
Well, you're right about 22 too, Bucky. They killed people with those crossers, and not as much last year. And that was a big part of what Doug did. And you know, I agree with you. I'd like to see that come back. Next question. Trevor's got the extension, and I'm glad. He's a guy. He's a laid back guy. He's an easygoing guy. He's not a guy that's going to go to his head. He's going to play a little more relaxed. What's the next step in your opinion? What's the next step for Trevor Lawrence, or what does he have to do to take that next step?
The next step for him is he needs to knock on the door of being a top 5 player at his position in the league. Meaning we need to be able to talk about Trevor like people talk about Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and those elite guys, how they talk about their ability to put the team on their back and to raise the level of performance in key moments. So for Trevor Lawrence to be able to do that, he doesn't have to do much different than what he's done. But what he has to be is utilize the guy. It doesn't mean that every game you have to put it on your shoulders. You got to make these remarkable plays. But what it does mean is 3 to 4 passes a game, they need to be wild throws that reminds everyone in the stadium why he's special and why we're willing to pay him what we're paying him, because he's one of those elite guys. And for Trevor to do that is really important that Press Taylor and Doug Peterson dig down deep over the first 2 years of tape and figure out, hey, man, number 16 is at his best when he does these handful of concepts. Let's find a way to make sure that the game plan features those things. We dress him up, but let's make sure that we allow him to do what he does really well and don't ask him to do stuff outside of that. Because when Trevor is playing well and doing the things that are well within his, I would say, his talent range, he's a really good quarterback. We just need to see what I would say is more of the 2022 offense, more so than some of the stuff that we saw last year.
Well, you made a really good point. Everyone talks about there's tape on this guy, there's tape on this guy. Well, now Doug and Press have tape on him. You know, that's a great point. You don't think about that because you see him, they see him every practice and every game. But you go back and evaluate your own guy. That self-scouting everybody talks. That's a really good point. So I'm confident. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Tell me about your Ryan Nielsen, a 4-3 defense, a different look. What are your expectations? And we'll get to some specifics in a minute, but big picture here, what are your expectations for that defense?
Look, I have great expectations. And the reason why is because the positivity and the energy that I sense from the players when I talk to them about what they're doing. When I talk to them about, man, just the install makes sense, or the conversations that they have. As a player, the thing that you want from your coaches, you want structure, you want organization, and then you want to be taught. And the information that you get, you want to be able to have different epiphanies throughout the game where, hey, man, coach told me that if they do this, this is going to happen. When those things start to happen, there becomes a stronger trust between player and coach. And talking to the players, I've got a sense that what they're teaching and how they're installing it, it makes sense. And one of the things that they're trying to do is eliminate the bad plays before they happen, meaning make sure everyone knows how to line up, make sure everyone knows their assignment, and everyone knows the adjustment based on formation, shift, or whatever. Because a lot of the bad plays that happen on defense was simply because the team didn't get lined up right. So let's eliminate the things where we beat ourselves just by not knowing what to do. The other thing is, can the coaches simplify the information that may be complex so the players can play fast? And to do that, it means that you have to dig down a little deeper in your thought process to make sure what I'm saying to the player, just give them the necessary information. Don't give them too much where they have to think. Just, hey, give me the orange with the peel already off. So now I can bite into it and get all the juice. If they do that, they can play fast, they can play confident. And what I've sensed from the players, they're getting the information like that. And then at the end of it is, man, find a way to make it where they can play fast and they can have a lot of fun while being physical. So simplify it, tell them to see ball, get ball, and unleash them when it comes to the physicality and toughness. I think the defense is going to be much better than people expect because they're going to kind of simplify it and let the athletes just be great athletes.
Bucky, you saw it a lot last year because we talked about this, and you had the best view because you're right there on the sidelines. Defensive players looking at the sideline, palms up in the air like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Looking at the sideline even after the offense broke the huddle. I'm not picking on Mike Caldwell. I don't mean it that way, but there was a lot of that, wasn't there? I mean, we've had that. There was a lot of that last year, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was a lot of that. And the frustration, like the great thing about what I have an opportunity to do on the sideline, not only seeing it, but in post-game, talking to the guys on the mic, but off the mic.
Yeah.
And what I got was a lot of the adjustments and corrections that may have taken place in practice, they never got fully addressed or they weren't clearly explained to the player. And the one thing that you want is, in ball, you want to live in a black and white world. If this, then that. But what you don't want is gray, where you have a bunch of different options where it could be this and could be that. Because what happens, paralysis by analysis leads to big play. And I've gotten a sense that the coaching staff not only is confident in what they're doing, they build trust with the players because everything makes sense. There's a logical order to the way things are put together. The things make sense in terms of the way the coverage matches the front. And I just believe there will be greater trust between player to player, player to coach, coach to coach. And when you have that trust, that's when you begin to get the best performance from everyone in the building.
Bucky Brooks with us talking Jaguar football. I'm Frank Frangie on 1010XL. You know, another thing is this, too, just to the naked eye. T.J. Watt and Von Miller, and they're outside linebackers. They're great edge guys. We call everybody an edge now. But they're guys that are 6'3", 260, and stand-up guard, 250, and can stand up and drop if you need to. Bucky, I think Josh Hines-Allen, and particularly Travon Walker, are down linemen. I think they're defensive ends. And I never, and I'm probably overthinking this a little bit, but I never felt like 3-4 fit them. Even though I know their hands on the ground in nickel, I get it. But I think they are 4-3 ends. Won't this defense fit those two guys better? Even though they both had great years last year, Josh Hines-Allen had an amazing year. Won't it fit them better?
I think it will fit them better. I think what you have the opportunity to do is, now that you've seen the players play together, we've seen Walker and Hines-Allen play together for 2 years. Now you understand like how their games complement one another. I think the big thing that no one is really talking about, the fact that Travon Walker finished the year with 10.5 sacks. Like, the fact that he was able to do that in his second year suggests that he still has so much more room to grow in his game. And the move to the 4-3 is not even just about Josh Hines-Allen and Walker being on the outside coming downhill. I think the hidden value is Travon Walker maybe sliding inside a little bit on some of those nickel downs alongside Eric Armstead, and maybe Travis Gibson coming in as that additional pass rusher, or another guy coming in as that pass rusher, where you have a NASCAR package with your 4 best pass rushers going to hunt the quarterback. To me, I think what this defense does is it gives you the opportunity to be a little more creative with the 4-man front, to do some things that really puts a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback. And the X factor, and he's a linebacker. But I'll say just keep an eye on Devin Lloyd. Just see if they maybe use him going forward more than dropping,
right,
to see if they can tap into some of the things that he did at Utah and allow him to be the difference maker that many of us thought he would be when he was a first-round pick.
That's a great point. What is your gut on that? Obviously, when your base now has 3 linebackers, somebody's got to play that Sam, which is lines up on the tight end, and all the conventional talk has been it'll be either Ventrell Miller or Chad Muma. But boy, I think to your point, I think Devin Lloyd, a guy lining up on the line of scrimmage, makes a lot of sense. Is there any chance we'll see that? I know they haven't lined up yet. There's no depth chart yet, as Ryan Nielsen tells us. But wouldn't you think, yeah, that's a great point. He should be out there some, right?
I would think so. And I know, like, in the spring, they talked about evaluation. So they were playing a bit of musical chairs with everyone lining up in various spots at linebacker and those things. But it's hard for me to think about what Devin Lloyd was at Utah. The fact he finished his last season with 8 sacks, and he had 4 interceptions. He had in front of a bunch of splash plays, playing a Sam linebacker spot for the youth. I would just think that it would be sensible, hey, let's line him up over the tight end. Let's sometimes let him put his hand in the dirt in nickel situations, and let's let him just be the player that he was in college. Don't have any inside information, but to me, it makes sense if they utilize him more in that role as opposed to Muma, because in watching both of them in college, Lloyd has more reps doing that kind of stuff going forward than Muma has, even though I thought Muma was a fantastic prospect, and I still believe that he can be a really good player in the play.
Look at the back end quickly. Antonio Johnson looks like he's going to be a starting safety now. They did not bring Rayshon Jenkins back. They love him. And I think Tyson Campbell's got to really step up. For them to be good defensively, you have to have a dominant corner who can take away half the field, as they say. That's the cliche, I guess. Tell me about the secondary. Do you like it? Do you like the way it looks like it's going to set up?
I like the potential that it has. And you brought up one name that I would say keep an eye on, and that is Tyson Campbell. And the reason why Tyson Campbell is so important is because I want people to understand this about Chris Richard. I think Chris Richard went from Seattle to Dallas when Byron Jones was a great athlete, but he hadn't quite been a Pro Bowl player. And I think under Chris Richard's tutelage, Byron Jones went from being a super athlete to an all-star Pro Bowl caliber performer. My expectation is that Tyson Campbell has similar traits. He has similar skills. Even though he's not a guard who I would consider a ball hawk, his athleticism should lead him to be a pretty good man-to-man corner where he has a lot of breakups. I think cleaning up his technique will help. The person that I expect to make the biggest jump will be Andre Sisco. Andre Sisco is a proven takeaway machine. He did it in college, 13 interceptions at Syracuse. He has 7 interceptions in 2 seasons, the last 2 seasons with the Jags. He is the guy who can be the one that they designate to set the trap to go make plays on the ball. I look for a more mature approach to defense where they give him some freedoms to go hunt and attack the ball to create turnovers. He'll be good. Antonio Johnson and those other guys can play, but to me, their success in the secondary hinges on Campbell and Cisco. If those guys play well, look out for what the defense can accomplish.
Final question. You have a better prism than us because you work with the network. You live in California. You see the whole league. I tend to get in this vacuum a little bit with this team. But all the pundits seem to have them, Bucky, 16 through 20, if there's a power poll. I feel like they're a better team than that. Now, again, I'm a homer and I'm biased and I'm locked on this team. Where do you see them? Are they a middle-of-the-pack NFL team? Obviously, they can be better than that. What's your read on the Jags as it relates to the other teams in the league?
Okay, so I think if we use the AFC in the pecking order, I think everyone will probably say Kansas City and Baltimore are at the top of the ladder. I think the Jaguars they can fall anywhere from 3 to 9 in that equation. Okay. Now, what will make the determination on where they fall is how good 16 plays, how well the defense plays on the back end, and can they run the football to finish games. The lack of a running game hurt them because they never could gain control of the game. But if 16 plays well, they run the football to control it, and then defensively in the back end, they don't give up the big ball, the Jaguars will finish somewhere in that 3-4 range with the potential of being even better. The team is good enough. It's the belief and the execution that will really determine how good this team is at the end of the season.